Then get to Tassie. I was trying to see if I could get the car across, but it was just to get the car and the trailer across and back again. It was going to be like $1,000, and that's a lot of money to fork out. So in the end, I looked and I actually found a tour and flights for $1,000. So that was really good, and I have to say I'm really glad I did that. Because I've met some really awesome people, and I'm just glad I didn't have to drive as well. And a big thank you to Hayden, who let me park my car and my trailer at his place while I went over to there. So, Tasmania. Tasmania was very, very beautiful, if cold and wet, but that's what you expect when you get down to this part of the world in winter. Went to Mount Field National Park and Lake St Clair, which is where the Derwent River starts and flows down through the mountains to Hobart. And we also, there's a couple of lookouts and whatnot that we went through. Next day, we had a choice of going either on a paid river cruise. You had to pay a bit extra to go on the river cruise, or go for this nice walk. I chose to go on the river cruise just because I was still a little bit sick and was looking like rain, and I didn't fancy a 10k hike in the rain. So I went. I'm glad I went on the river cruise. It was a really nice. Like, it was only $85 and was the whole day, like from 9 till 3, and you got lunch included. So that was really cool. He also got a guided tour of a place called Sarah Island, which used to be a penal colony, and was a shipyard, also using the native hue and pine to build the ships. So, and that was really good. The tour guide sounds like she might have been a volunteer, but she knew her stuff, and she was very, very passionate about what she did. But it was funny when we were in Macquarie Harbour. We went down to Macquarie Head, and as soon as you got to the end of the harbour, just like the water suddenly changed. Like in the harbour, it was all nice and calm, but then, just as soon as you hit the Southern Ocean, it got so choppy. It was ridiculously choppy. But yeah, so that was a nice day in Strawn. So that was nice day in Strawn. I also have to mention as well, the hostel we stayed in Strawn for 2 nights, and there was this character Bumpy. He was one of those sort of locals that you read about. He's a very different, very interesting man with some good stories. So that was really cool too. So after Strawn, we went to Launceston. We were going to try and go up a little of a walkway partway up Cradle Mountain, but the clouds came in. It was just covering the mountain, so you wouldn't have seen anything. So instead, we had a walk around Dove Lake, which is wasn't all that big, I don't think, but it was about a 2-hour walk. But that was some really nice scenery around there. Me and one of the girls on the trip, Maud, sorry, Dutch girl, I've got to say Maud, got to finish a little bit early, so I was so glad I had a deck of cards in my pocket. So we sat there and played some cards for a bit, and as people dripped in, we added more people to the card game, so that was really good. And then we took a short walk a little bit further around and saw some wombats. Then we went along to a place called Sheffield, which has some really nice murals. It's painted all over the town. I think I only got a photo of one, but that was beautiful. And then cheese shop. I found some wasabi cheese. Now, I'm not a spicy person, but this wasabi cheese was awesome. Awesome enough that I'm taking 10 seconds off my video to talk to you about it. But such a nice cheese. If I find it again, I'm going to buy it. So after Launceston, we went to a little town called Wishino. That was a nice little area. This one, I haven't got it in my book, but there was oh yes, no, I do have it in my book. We'll talk about that later. So yeah, we went to a place called Cataract Gorge, and walking through, just see some nice little. There were some animals around that let you get close to them and take some photos. And then as we were driving, we drove past Perth, and I knew there was another Perth in Tasmania, but now I can say I've driven past it at least. And we also went to the Bay of Fires, where for some reason it seemed like a really good idea to go for a swim. Now, it's not the stupidest thing I've ever done, but it's probably up there. But that was good fun. Yes, there was 4 or 5 of us, you know, just went in for a swim, you know, all charged in and stayed in there for about 5 seconds and then ran out again. So yeah, that was good. We also went to a place called Nature World, which is an animal sanctuary. So not like a zoo. Nature World is designed to rehabilitate animals and release them into the wild. So yeah, that's where I saw some Tassie devils, and another wombat, and heaps of animals just roaming around and having fun and having a good time. So yeah, that was really cool. And then from there we went on the road to Hobart. I'm going to say this wrong because it looks like a French word, but it's spelt Freycinet, but I'm going to say it's probably pronounced Freycinet, something like that. Freycinet National Park. We're going to go with that, so pretend I'm fancy and no French. So you had the option of doing like 3 little walks, or doing a hard walk up to a really nice viewpoint on Mount Amos there. Me being the wimp that I am, I chose to do the 3 smaller walks rather than do the big walk. Saw some photos of the big walk and looking up over Wineglass Bay. That looked really awesome, but I don't think I could have handled the walk up there. So the other walks we did, there was another lookout that was further down the side of the mountain that you still got to look at Wineglass Bay. And from the second walk we did, went to, I forget what it was called, but there was a lighthouse there, and when you got to the end of the walk, there was some binoculars and you could look out at these islands and see some seals on there. And the third part of the walk that I actually liked the best was Sleepy Bay, which was down on the ocean. It was a bay, so you could actually get down there, but there were lots of rocks to walk across, and it was just nice and calm. The only problem was that we were looking out, and you could see like the weather starting to come in. So you only got maybe 20 minutes there before we went, yeah, that weather's looking bad. We should turn around and come back in. Cool. So we did that. And then we also stopped at a place called Spring Beach on the way back, and they had some really stunning rainbows there, so that was pretty cool too. And on that night in Hobart, did something that I've been trying to do for a long time now. I haven't done it for ages. Found a karaoke bar, so we had to sing. We all went up as a group and sung, what was the first one? Sung Wannabe, that's right. And then a bit later on, sung Mambo No. 5, so that was good fun. Had a couple of backing singers from Mambo No. 5 too, so that was good. Then Port Arthur. So yeah, next day Port Arthur. Went through Richmond as well, where's the oldest bridge still operating in Australia. Yeah, and then down to the Port Arthur Penal Colony, which surprised me a little bit because I always thought Port Arthur was more of a town, but it really is just the prison and what was there. So that was yeah, a little bit surprising for me, but it was still really nice. You get to learn the history of it and learn about the separate prison where they kept prisoners in like total isolation, and they weren't allowed to speak. Nobody was allowed to speak to them, and if they acted up, they got put in a cell that was completely dark. And they said that nobody could last longer than a week in there. And yeah, so that was pretty interesting. One thing I did notice, and for those, some people in Australia will probably remember, but most people around the rest of the world probably wouldn't. But in '96 there was a massacre down there as well. A guy with a gun, automatic rifles, just went through and killed a whole heap of people. And that was actually when Australia banned automatic and semi-automatic weapons. So we haven't had a mass shooting since. But there was actually surprisingly little down there on it. Like, I did ask our tour guide about it, and he said, "Oh, there's a sign here that you can look at." And then, yeah, it was just like a little memorial plaque. And I say one thing I was very impressed with, it didn't mention the shooter by name. It just said this plaque is to remember those people that died here when a gunman came through and killed a lot of people. Because those sorts of people thrive on notoriety. So I'm not even going to say the name here. I'm just going to let him be forgotten. Then after that we went to the Tasman Arch, which was sort of a bit like London Bridge on the Great Ocean Road, except the bridge hadn't fallen in yet, so that was pretty cool. And also they've got some blowholes there, which the ocean wasn't quite strong enough for that. And then I had some tragedy. I got back to pick my car up and the battery had gone flat. So all my trip computers had died and I've had to start again. So we'll have to see how that goes. Luckily I'd written down everything before I'd left for Tasmania, so that shouldn't be too bad with any luck. And then we're up to yesterday. And yesterday I thought, oh, Eagles are playing. Yes, come on Eagles. I'll go and watch them play in at Etihad. I hadn't been to Etihad. Been to the MCG a couple of times, but and I thought they were going to do it, but they freaking didn't. But that's alright. Why did I have to lose to Collingwood? That's no good. But anyway, so yeah, and that brings us up to today. So today I'm doing laundry because I've run out of shirts. So this is my last clean shirt. And then I'm going to tonight. One of the girls from the tour is coming to Cole. Is going to stay with me for a night because she gets in late and can't get into a hostel. So yeah, she's going to stay with me tonight, and then yeah, going to try and catch up with another girl, Mariel, from the trip as well, and see, yeah, and then on Thursday head off out through Ballarat to Adelaide. So and hopefully meet up with Ben too. I should give him a call. Ben, if you're watching this, sorry, I'll give you a call soon. Yeah, so that's it. It's also about a month and I'll have to be back at work, so I'm thinking, I'm just sort of trying to decide my trip, but definitely going to head out through Grampians and over to Adelaide, but I'm toying with the idea of heading straight back, skipping the southwest of WA, because the southwest of WA is something that I can do on my own, just on weekend trips when I get back home, so it doesn't need to be done on this, so we'll see how we go. I know it's a month, but I really want to get back like a week or two before that all starts. So anyway, so that's where we're at the moment. I had a blast in Tasmania, been through Queensland, New South Wales, ACT, Victoria and Tasmania, so that's 5 states / territories since I did my last update, and only one more to go, and I will have been to every state and territory on mainland Australia, and also Tassie, of course, on this trip. So yeah, see you next time.